Less than a decade ago, fantasy sports apps seemed like harmless fun. Now, Gen Z is diving into a world where DraftKings, FanDuel, and influencer-fueled pick'em apps flood their phones with instant promos, cash bonuses, and addictive games. Behind the excitement, alarming addiction rates, mountains of debt, and a billion-dollar industry engineered to keep young users hooked. The gambling apps, hooking Gen Z. And why it's a disaster isn't just a catchy title. It's the new reality for an entire generation. But how did a supposedly safe pastime explode into a crisis? And who's really profiting from the chaos? The real answers go back much further than you think. DraftKings and FanDuel did not start out as household names. In the early 2010s, they launched with a simple pitch: Daily Fantasy Sports, DFS, where you could draft a lineup for a single night, play against thousands of others, and win instant cash. The idea sounded closer to a video game tournament than a Vegas sportsbook. Both companies leaned hard on the claim that fantasy contests were games of skill, not chance. That distinction mattered because it let them sidestep most gambling laws and operate in almost every state. By 2014, DraftKings and FanDuel were running million-dollar contests, and venture capital flooded in. DraftKings raised $41 million in its first big round, and FanDuel pulled in $70 million. The growth was explosive. In 2015, more than 57 million people in North America played some form of fantasy sports, and the two companies spent over $200 million on ads during the NFL season alone. Commercials ran nonstop on ESPN, NBC, and even during live games. The message was everywhere. Fantasy was legal, safe, and anyone could win. Founders Jason Robbins and Nigel Eccles became the faces of a new digital gold rush. Investors saw a loophole in the law, and the companies ran with it, offering contests that looked and felt like betting, but were branded as skill-based competition. For a few years, DFS lived in this gray zone. The apps were easy to use, payouts were fast, and the legal risk seemed low. Fans could enter a lineup on their phone during halftime and watch the winnings update in real time. There were no casinos, no bookies, just a slick interface and the promise of a life-changing payout. That sense of safety and the thrill of instant results helped DFS explode into the mainstream, setting the stage for everything that would come next. In May 2018, the Supreme Court struck down PASPA, the federal law that had blocked states from legalizing sports betting for more than 25 years. Within days, Delaware became the first state outside Nevada to take a legal sports bet. New Jersey, the state that had led the challenge, followed almost immediately. Governor Phil Murphy placed the state's first bet at Monmouth Park on Juneteenth. By August, DraftKings launched the first mobile sportsbook app in New Jersey, opening the floodgates for digital betting across the country. The pace was relentless. Mississippi and West Virginia rolled out retail sportsbooks that same summer. Pennsylvania and New Mexico joined before the year was out. But it was mobile betting that changed everything. In New Jersey, the DraftKings and FanDuel apps let anyone place a wager from their phone. No casino visit required. The model spread fast. West Virginia's mobile launch came in December, Pennsylvania's in May 2019. Each new state brought a fresh wave of customers, drawn in by the convenience and the constant stream of promotions. Regulators watched as tax dollars rolled in and investment soared. Investors, seeing the numbers climb, poured billions into the sector. By 2025, more than 30 states had legalized some form of sports betting, and the industry's annual revenue topped $11 billion. Sportsbooks competed to sign exclusive deals with leagues, teams, and media giants, embedding betting into the fabric of live sports. For Gen Z, the experience was seamless. Betting odds on every highlight, push notifications during games, and a sportsbook in every pocket. The legal breakthrough had set off a nationwide race, and the apps were just getting started. PrizePicks and Underdog didn't set out to build traditional sportsbooks. Instead, they found a different lane, one paved by loopholes in state laws. Their apps call the action Fantasy Pick'em, but the mechanics look a lot like prop betting. Users pick whether a handful of athletes will go over or under a certain stat line, say LeBron James scoring more than 27 points, or a quarterback throwing fewer than 2 touchdowns. The payouts are fixed, the odds are clear, and the results hinge on real-world games, not fantasy seasons. For Gen Z, the experience feels less like joining a fantasy league and more like placing a parlay, but with a friendlier, game-like wrapper. This legal gray area has become big business. PrizePicks operates in over 24 states, including places where sports betting is still banned. Underdog has carved out a similar footprint, targeting users in markets left out by DraftKings and FanDuel sportsbooks. In Georgia alone, PrizePicks spent more than $500,000 on lobbying in 2023, pushing lawmakers to keep fantasy carve-outs broad enough to protect their product. Underdog has registered lobbyists in at least 10 states, fighting for the same carve-outs and working to fend off any attempt to reclassify pick'em games as illegal sports bets. The core argument hinges on language. State laws often exempt fantasy contests from gambling restrictions if they're based on multiple players and require skill. PrizePicks and Underdog have leaned on this, insisting their games are legal because users make choices across different athletes. But regulators in states like New York, Maryland, and Ohio have pushed back, ruling that pick'em games are, in fact, unlicensed sports betting. As a result, both companies have pulled out of those markets, even as they ramp up lobbying and legal challenges elsewhere. For young users, the distinction is mostly invisible. The apps are quick, colorful, and easy to use. No need for a casino, no complicated rules. Just a few taps and you're in, with the promise of instant results and big payouts. The gray zone isn't just legal, it's cultural too, blurring the line between fantasy play and real money gambling in a way that's never been more accessible. Promo codes and influencer endorsements have become the front lines in the battle for Gen Z's attention. DraftKings, FanDuel, and the new wave of pick'em apps hand out free bets, deposit matches, and risk-free offers like digital candy. It's not unusual to see a $200 match for a $200 deposit, or a bet $5, get $150 banner flashing across your screen during a big game. These deals aren't just on TV, they're everywhere. Gen Z hangs out online. TikTok creators run betting challenges with their followers, showing off winning slips and inviting viewers to use a custom code. Twitch streamers weave live bets into their sports commentary, sometimes landing six-figure sponsorships just for keeping the action on screen. The numbers behind these campaigns are staggering. In 2024, sportsbook ad spending topped $2 billion, with a growing share going straight to social media and creator partnerships. A single viral TikTok can spike app downloads by 150% overnight. Influencers, some barely out of college themselves, push promo codes in exchange for a cut of every new user they bring in. On YouTube and podcasts, betting picks and parlay how-tos blend seamlessly with sports talk, making gambling feel like just another part of fandom. For young bettors, the message is clear. Everyone's doing it, and the house wants you to win, at least at first. The combination of free money, peer validation, and non-stop hype turns betting from a risky proposition into a social activity, one that promises excitement, community, and the thrill of being in on the action. The hooks are visible, the rewards are immediate, and the pressure to join in comes from every corner of the digital world. Open any of these apps, and the first thing you notice is how fast everything moves. Depositing money takes less than 10 seconds. Most apps link directly to your bank, PayPal, or Venmo. There's no pause, no second screen asking if you're sure. Once you're in, the action never stops. Bets update in real time, with leaderboards flashing and notifications nudging you to try the next hot pick. Product teams work with behavioral scientists to engineer these experiences, testing hundreds of layouts to keep users locked in. The reward system isn't random. It's built on what psychologists call variable ratio schedules. That's the same principle behind slot machines. You never know when the next win will come, but every near miss or last second payout keeps you coming back. Apps use near miss animations and confetti bursts, even for losses that almost hit. Push notifications arrive if you haven't bet in a while, offering a bonus or a personalized insurance bet. VIP hosts sometimes reach out directly to high-value users, dangling cashback offers just when activity drops off. Responsible gambling tools do exist, but they're often hidden behind multiple menus, far from the home screen. Meanwhile, the main interface highlights deposit bonuses and trending bets, always just one tap away. The result is longer sessions and more frequent bets. Studies show Gen Z users spend more time per session than any previous generation. The friction is gone, replaced by a seamless loop designed to keep the action going, long after the excitement should have faded. ESPN Bet didn't just appear out of nowhere. In 2023, Penn Entertainment paid more than $1.5 billion for the rights to slap the ESPN name on its sportsbook, instantly giving it credibility with millions of sports fans. The deal wasn't just about logos. It meant betting odds on ESPN's website, sponsored segments on SportsCenter, and push alerts for the latest lines delivered alongside game highlights. And that's just one example. BetMGM and Caesars have poured hundreds of millions into partnerships with the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. Walk into an NBA arena or an NFL stadium, and you'll see branded betting lounges, kiosks, and even in-seat betting options. Games aren't just about who wins or loses anymore. They're about what you can wager on, right there in the moment. Network executives talk openly about betting as the next frontier for fan engagement. In 2024, league broadcasts started including live odds tickers, parlay breakdowns, and sponsored betting segments woven into halftime shows. Sports talk radio and podcasts now feature regular betting picks, brought to you by the same companies that run the apps. For Gen Z, the line between watching and wagering has all but disappeared. Odds scroll under the score, analysts break down can't-miss parlays, and viewers are nudged to place a bet before the next play. The old taboo around gambling in sports is gone, replaced by a non-stop stream of branded content, exclusive offers, and the promise that anyone can get in on the action. The result is total saturation. Betting isn't just part of the sports experience. It's embedded in every highlight, every broadcast, and every arena seat. The numbers alone are hard to ignore. Among regular sports bettors in Gen Z, nearly 1 in 11 meets the criteria for gambling disorder, about 8.7%, according to the latest studies. That's a rate higher than any previous generation. And the financial toll isn't abstract. The average gambling-related debt for young adults seeking help has climbed to $27,500. For many, the slide starts small. A promo code, a risk-free bet, a string of wins that feel like proof you're getting the hang of it. But the losses add up fast, and the apps are always ready with another bonus or a push notification to bring you back in. It's not just about statistics. The stories behind the numbers reveal how quickly things can spiral. On Reddit, a 22-year-old describes how he started with a $50 risk-free bet on Prize Picks. Within 6 months, he was down more than $13,000. Money lost in small increments, each wager feeling like a chance to claw back what he'd already spent. He posts screenshots of his banking app, Discord chats with friends, and a running tally of losses that grew faster than he could explain to anyone in his life. He's not alone. Addiction counselors report a wave of young men and women showing up with similar stories, secret debts, mounting anxiety, and a sense of shame that keeps them from asking for help until things are already out of control. There's a pattern to these stories: the promise of easy money, the thrill of a near miss, and the constant stream of influencer tips create a loop that's hard to break. For Gen Z, gambling isn't a trip to the casino or a night out with friends. It's a private, always-on activity that can run in the background of daily life. The result is a generation facing not just higher rates of addiction, but deeper financial strain and a growing mental health crisis, all fueled by apps that make it easier than ever to lose track of how much is at stake. Pressure on the gambling industry hasn't just come from headlines or addiction counselors. In 2024, New Jersey regulators took a closer look at how betting platforms operate, especially as Gen Z losses and debt statistics grew impossible to ignore. The Division of Gaming Enforcement ramped up audits and compliance checks, demanding that every licensed sportsbook report detailed user activity and responsible gambling spending. Operators were required to show exactly how they flagged risky behavior, handled complaints, and promoted self-exclusion tools. While some states floated hard deposit caps, New Jersey's focus stayed on transparency and more visible access to self-limits, making sure tools like timeouts and loss reminders weren't buried behind endless menus. Elsewhere, attorneys general began probing the industry's promises. In late 2024, a coalition of state AGs opened investigations into how apps marketed risk-free bets and deposit matches to users under 25. Their legal teams combed through influencer contracts and ad campaigns, looking for evidence that companies targeted college campuses or used social media to skirt age restrictions. Internal emails and bonus offer scripts surfaced in discovery, revealing how operators tracked user engagement and tailored offers to keep lapsed bettors coming back. These investigations didn't just focus on the big sports books. Pick'em platforms like Prize Picks and Underdog found themselves under scrutiny too, especially in states where regulators had already forced them out for operating unlicensed betting. In 2025, the first major class action lawsuit landed in federal court, with plaintiffs arguing that risk-free promos and influencer codes amounted to deceptive advertising, especially for those not old enough to legally gamble. The suit named multiple operators and called for damages, stricter age checks, and clear disclosures on every bonus offer. While the industry pushed back, arguing that users choose to bet and tools for self-control are available, the legal filings painted a different picture, one of relentless inducement, hidden risks, and a business model built on maximizing time and money spent in-app. For the first time, the companies behind the apps faced a real test not from competitors, but from the legal system and the officials charged with protecting the public. In the last 5 years, Gen Z's gambling disorder rate has reached 8.7%, with average debts reported at $27,500, numbers that have climbed alongside a surge in app downloads and relentless promotions. The timeline is clear. DraftKings and FanDuel evolved from daily fantasy platforms into sportsbook giants after the 2018 PASPA repeal, while pick'em apps like PrizePicks exploited legal gray areas to capture millions of young users. Tactics such as influencer codes, dark pattern design, and aggressive arena sponsorships have all fueled this expansion. Yet, many regulatory documents about algorithmic targeting and long-term addiction data remain undisclosed, leaving gaps in public understanding. States like New Jersey have begun to impose deposit caps, and landmark lawsuits are underway, but the full impact on Gen Z's mental health and finances is still unfolding. What's certain, from court filings to state reports, is that the business of betting apps has redrawn the boundaries of risk for a new generation, and the push for accountability has only just begun.